And we're live. Live is a relative term. You're hearing this recorded. Me and Nathan are talking live. This is Adam, by the way.
This is Nathan.
So today we're going to talk about my second favorite color of all time, green.
It's probably like my third? Second or third.
Okay.
I would say that red and blue is probably above green. Blue is debatably above or below green.
Yeah. It's kind of flavor of the week for me. How much we talked about this a little bit ago. Green is never not my second favorite color, but we'll get into that later in the video.
Right.
That being said, we were talking quite literally seconds before I clicked record. I'm a 5-color fiend.
You really are.
It's actually a problem.
What is it? You have 2 5-color decks or 3?
I have 1 5-color deck.
You only have 1? I think I had 2.
The first deck I built was a 4-color deck.
Oh. Okay.
For Commander specifically, right?
What were the 4 colors?
Everything but black.
Everything but black.
It was Group Hug. I cannot tell you the name of the commander, but it's the 2 from like the first series of 4-color commanders.
I would not know.
Yeah. Someone knows.
Someone out there will know.
Or you just look it up. But what we were talking about is it's a problem that I face. Less of a problem for Nathan over there.
Yeah.
When playing over 3 colors, when you kind of like stop looking at budget and you just start like looking at what you want to play, it becomes a real big problem to not just make every deck almost exactly the same, right? Your commander deck has 100 cards in it, 99 your commanders.
Yeah.
Oh, it's outside of the pile. And if you run somewhere in the realm of like 5 to 15 cards, like I generally do, where there's like these cards are always playable, whether they be tutors, the best removal, the best creature, end of story, right? Where you just like want them in your deck, like no matter what you're playing, you run into a real problem with that 5 to 15 range. Could take an average 10, right? That's 30 cards of your 99 that you just kind of always want the same in every deck.
Yeah.
We were talking about you just have to kind of come to the conclusion yourself. That's not even counting colorless cards too, right?
Ooh, I forgot.
So your Soul Rings and your Arcane Signets.
Yeah.
Where just a large portion of your deck is taken up with cards that you really want to play in every deck. And then, you're running somewhere in the realm of, if you're a psychopath like me who plays 5 colors with 30 lands, and so you end up 30 to 40 lands, maybe more. You're running into the problem of like 30 cards plus 30 to 45. If you're running land heavy, 45. So that's 60 to 75 cards of your deck, kind of predetermined slots.
Yeah.
You don't really have, right? You have somewhere in the realm of 25 to 35 actual, or 24 to 34 actual cards in your deck.
And that's where the game can kind of get boring. As soon as you think you start calling yourself maybe a little bit of an experienced player, you finally understand that how the game will function a lot of the time. Then you will realize that, and it's like, well, this might not be so fun. But then that's when you can find different avenues to take. And you're not always going to have the money for a $75 card every time you make a deck.
Yeah. You just kind of have to become okay with that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a problem.
No.
By any means. Just, making suboptimal choices. I hate saying that word. Or I hate saying that phrase. But making maybe not the best choice in deck construction to just have more fun.
Yeah.
Right? To see more cards, to use more cards more often, to just add some variety, some spice to your decks.
Yeah. And sometimes paying $7 for that Chroma's Memorial is not always worth it.
It's always worth it. It's always worth it. A Chroma's Memorial is my favorite card to play.
I see why you say that. But imagine a scenario where you already have all the keywords.
Yeah.
And it's like, why would you need it if you have I don't know what style where you're having just a ton of Anthem effects.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably tokens.
Yep.
Tokens probably have a lot of Anthem effects you could probably run in there. And then that is probably, for instance, where you're probably not going to be paying 7 mana when you could drop 10 creatures for 7 mana in a token deck or something like that. You get a lot of value.
Yeah. Moving right along.
Yeah, moving right along.
We're talking about green.
Yeah.
My second favorite color.
It is a great color. The newbie color, if you will.
Yeah. Green and red are kind of, they're easy to learn, hard to master colors.
For sure. And they're just great right out of the box.
Yeah. But sticking to green, my second favorite color, I love green. I love looking across the board on turn 3, turn 4, turn 5 of a commander game and seeing all of my opponents' mana bases withering and dying as I cross the border from 3 to 8 mana.
Oh, man.
Everyone looks at my huge tracts of land, jealous.
This is my property.
It's mine. This is all mine. Read it and weep. They also hate the fact that I'm casting more spells than them per turn.
Yeah, because you have all the ramp and they're casting one creature.
No, it's turn 4 and you've cast your, I don't know,
maybe your commander, and I cast my commander not only 2 turns ago, but I've also since cast 2 other creatures, and I'm just rolling over the table. Yeah. Green has a lot of iconic cards. They have the Crater Hoof, they have the Doubling Seasons, they have the Parallel Lives.
My favorite green card, Triumph of the Horde.
Explosive ones like Vegetation, Stew Forest. Very explosive card.
Explosive Vegetation, yes.
Explosive Vegetation. I'm going to put that on a card. I'm going to just call it that now. It's not. Yep. Because it's called Vegetation.
No, it's called Explosive Vegetation.
No. I'm calling it Vegetation. Okay. It's our inside joke now.
It also does something that's very fun. I love Chroma's Memorial, and I hate seeing green players because I know, I get 1, maybe 2 turns with my Chroma's Memorial before they have destroyed it.
Yeah.
The specific, I looked up prior to starting the recording the amount of cards in green that have destroy target on the card somewhere. There was 237 listed. And I spent some time scrolling through them, and I want to say more than half of them had the words destroy target artifact or enchantment. So green also does a fantastic job at just hosing all of those pesky little Rhystic Studies, Smothering Tides, Chroma's Memorials,
the Immortal Sun. God, I love that.
It just does a fantastic job at removing all of those pesky cards that more than likely you didn't plan for them to be on the board, and you really don't like the fact that they've been there for more than a turn cycle.
Yeah, they're your win pieces.
Nathan's Smothering Tithe and Ghostly Prison.
I don't have a Smothering Tithe yet.
Or not Smothering Tithe, Propagandas and Ghostly Prisons.
They're just great. They're great. I've been thinking about taking one of those cards out of that deck.
For the friend that really loves playing Winter Orb.
Oh man.
Right?
Oh man. Dude. Oh, man. Winter Orb, just get it out of here.
Or maybe their, what's it called? Their Ensnaring Bridge. The list goes on.
Yeah.
Quite literally, the amount of cards in the game that you'd just rather not be on the table. You'd rather not see them.
Yep.
Guess what? As long as they're not a creature, green has green has a response.
And if you don't, you should.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say, if you're playing a green deck and you do not have a way, if you are playing a green deck and you cannot think of a card that you have in your deck to destroy an artifact and or enchantment, that's not a deck's problem per se, right? It's not the deck's fault that this is happening.
Right.
It is most assuredly your fault. You have failed in deck construction.
Failure.
And you should wear a sticky note on your forehead. So that way, every time you look in the mirror, you're just reminded, put artifact and enchantment removal into my mono green deck, or into my deck that has green in it.
Yeah.
You should, in fact, be able to remove artifacts and enchantments.
They even have, like, oddly enough specific, get that flying thing out of here, too, every once in a while.
Yeah. Yep. That was perhaps the second most common thing I saw was a lot of green cards that had modes, which was destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or destroy target creature with flying. It's just it's just always tacked on there. Like, that card exists in somewhere upwards of like 15 to 20 iterations of it's like destroy one of those three very specific things.
And maybe it's for the dragons out there, those green dragons.
Yeah, maybe it's for the dragons. Maybe it's for those angels.
Those angels, yeah.
No one likes seeing a Baneslayer angel come flying across the board.
God. Angels are gross. Green will get you there. If you have any deck and you don't think that you're getting to its strongest points fast enough, you're just stalling out. Maybe consider throwing in a splash of green just for that land ramp.
Yeah.
Or fetching to grab something, put it into your hand. That's like any way to get that land onto that battlefield. If you're falling behind, throw some green into it.
My four favorite cards in green: Rampant Growth, Nature's Lore, 3 Visits, Farseek. Put them in your green deck. Not even talking about once you start getting into the 4-mana ramp where it's explosive vegetation we talked about earlier. And the multiple iterations of explosive vegetation that exist out there. It's another one of those that there's somewhere in the realm of like 10 to 15 playable versions of explosive vegetation that you just can't have in your deck.
Plus, green has plenty of mana dorks.
Yeah, all of the Birds of Paradise, Llanowar Elves, Avacyn's Pilgrim if you're playing green-white.
Yeah.
What is it?
Llanowar has like just a bunch of mana dorks, I believe, just in its own little weird elf thing. Elvish
Mystic, Arbor Elf. That's just 5 off the top of my head. Like green will, if your commander is over 3 mana, like just put some green ramp in your deck. Find a way to get more green ramp in your deck so you can cast your commander a turn earlier, or you can cast your commander multiple times. Right, you cast your commander the first time, and of course someone's gonna windmill slam a Swords to Plowshares on the table and say, "Get that out of here." They're gonna, they're just gonna do something to remove it.
Just cast again because you have that much land.
Because you just have your huge tracts of land.
What is it? Do you have a favorite green spell? We kind of talked about it a little bit, but we never really discussed what that specific card would be. Favorite green spell?
God, it is just I love ramp. I love 2 mana. I love 2 mana ramp. So it's what is it? It's probably just Nature's Lore and 3 visits, because they go and find the land and put it into play untapped if it can come into play untapped.
I personally, I think it's just because it was one of my first secret layer pulls. And I have such a fond memory of pulling it from something that I had no idea what it was going to be in, like a Lord of the Rings tin. I think it was Little War Elves. It's just the simple 1/1 that taps for 1, like a Birds of Paradise. Those are great. It's just one of those things that not necessarily everybody will expect. Well, people should expect a green player to have stuff like that in your deck, but on top of that effect, they have such rich arts for those cards because of how iconic they are, and the story behind those arts alone is what kind of rubs me the right way, if you will.
Yeah.
God, you guys see that?
I'll continue. I've said it multiple times that green is my second favorite color. It is very flavor of the week as a 5-color fiend. Every week's different, where some weeks it'll be like blue's my favorite, white's my favorite, red's my favorite, green's my favorite even. But green never drops below that second position. Whenever I sit down and want to write out my favorite colors for the week, it's never going to be below that second position, just because your monocolored deck will be good. It can be phenomenal. But if you add green to it, it will stand head and shoulders above where it was previously, I feel.
Say that to your burn deck, though.
You telling me I'd have a problem with having extra mana in my burn deck?
Not necessarily because of the extra mana, but the time that you might be, or the slots that those cards would take up instead of the stuff that you would already be. You can have that argument, right?
Yeah. What is it? It can reduce the overall quality of top decks.
Yeah, that's
right. It's turn 13 of your commander game, and you draw, Rampant Growth.
Yeah.
Or what is it? Farseek, or all these cards that I keep talking about. Yeah, it's not gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But more than likely, it's not advancing your game plan.
Unless your commander's been whacked like 3 or 4 times.
Yep.
Then maybe it might just be what you need.
But what I will tell you is when I cast my Earthquake for 7 mana more than what I would normally cast it, you're not going to get any complaints from me.
What about that Blasphemous Act for 1 mana? I mean, it's 9, but
But Earthquake does that damage to everything.
Does the Blasphemous Act do that too?
Earthquake does it to players too.
Oh, I totally forgot about player damage.
Yeah. And then
that's better.
While Solfim couldn't be the commander, it could be in the 99, so that 13 to everyone becomes 26 to all of my opponents.
And now all you gotta do is copy that spell, and then there you go.
Yeah.
It takes 1 copy spell to get that into a win con.
To that end, green is the second color you should always consider adding to any deck. It makes the best second color.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head, green black rock. The basis for a lot of extremely competitive decks. You have the most board disruption possible you already have artifacts and enchantments covered by green. Then you add black, so those creatures are now dealt with. You're also adding black allows you to wreck any plans your opponents make with their hand. Red-green, Timmy lives in all of us. Gotta go fast. I am speed. It is the most aggressive card color or two color pair.
Okay.
I couldn't think. Red white maybe is close up there, but red green, your threats are just bigger, and they're coming down quicker. Blue green, no one else at the table is having fun but you, because you're going to counter everyone's things. But you're having a lot of fun because you're going to have more lands than anyone. And you're also always going to be discarding cards at the end of your turn because you've drawn, for whatever reason, like 30 cards. And then green-white. Your board presence will be absolutely phenomenal. You're never going to not have blockers.
Yeah.
Quite literally. You're going to run out of space on your playmat. And while you might have been being attacked more than everyone else because they want to keep your creatures in check, so you might be taking some damage, whatever. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, everyone blinks, and you're not at 40 life anymore, but you're at like 52. And don't ask me how it happened. It just did.
And same thing goes with like the creature state. You play a second harvest with all of them like 1/1s. Now you just got a bunch of 2/2s or a bunch of 1/1s on top of that. Then you have your doubling seasons trigger off of that.
Yep.
And then whatever else.
Yeah, green white, add parallel lives, add doubling season, add anointed procession, add anything that could make extra tokens. Again, for whatever reason, you cannot see your playmat. It's covered in tokens.
It's a lot of everything.
Yeah. Green is the best. You're not going to get any arguments from me there. It's always added. Always put green in your deck. Just think about that monocolor deck you're making. Put green into it.
I want to eye roll, but I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to argue, but I can't.
That being said, green can't do it all.
Right.
Can't shoulder every burden.
Right. Can't destroy those creatures.
Just barely.
Just barely, right?
Because you can, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna say you can't kill creatures, and then I'm gonna raise you. You have to fight them.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
You have to open your creatures up to damage through fight mechanics.
Which can be fun with artifacts like Boxing Ring. That's
never heard of Boxing Ring.
Boxing Ring. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it fights another target creature.
I'm here for it. I am here for Boxing Ring.
I found that card this morning.
My love for ramp.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right. I've said it earlier. No one likes turn 13 drawing rampant growth.
Right.
No one likes turn 13, 14, and 15 drawing various copies of rampant growth.
God.
You can tutor in green. Mm-hmm. This is getting extremely nitpicky. You can tutor in green, but it is only for creatures and lands.
Right.
I can't think of any enchantment or enchantment, creature, or
instant sorcery.
You got there. That goes into green that doesn't also have another color attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And in a more casual setting, or with newer players, it does become very easy to be the archenemy just because you are playing more things more often.
Yeah, you're just vomiting in your hand.
Yeah.
More likely than not.
And if you're in mono green specifically, it's less of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the card or have the tools required to get there, but you can just run out of things to do.
Right.
Who cares if you have 10 mana on turn 5 if your hand's empty and you just drew another land?
Yeah, there's sadly not enough recursion in green, so once your thing's dead, it's probably going to just stay dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
I just, nothing comes to the top of my dome when it comes to recursion in green.
Reclamation Sage or Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness is the one that I was looking for. Mm-hmm. Once you grab something, there is Genesis, a creature that if it's in your graveyard, you can pay 2 and a green at the beginning of your upkeep to return a creature to your hand. And there's one more. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's like 1 Phyrexian green that allows you to grab a card from your graveyard and put it on top of your library.
So you do have those options, but it's not predominant in that color.
Yeah.
You're just gonna be filling that playmat up with stuff.
Yeah. Then that's it.
Yeah.
We're done. We're gonna close this up. It's the end of the podcast. Nathan, tell us where they can find us.
You can find us on YouTube, TikTok. You can send questions to our podcast or any comments or concerns about this podcast to EVRTY at bagel@gmail.com. Butchered that.
Yeah. Take it again from the top.
It is EVRTY bagel at gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah. Next week we're going to be talking about the decks we're building.
Yep.
I'm building Sulfim, Mayhem Dominus, Mono Red, Group Slug. No fun for everyone but me.
I am building Emodane? Pyro Hammer?
Yeah.
Pyro Hammer. I just like calling it the Pyro Hammer deck.
Yep.
Burn everything to the ground, baby.
All of your creatures are destroyed.
Oh, yeah.
It hurts you just as much as it hurts them. Blasphemous Act would be gross in that deck.
Oh, man.
Ugh.